still admire extroverts, but I'm more of a observer. And then I like to push the buttons that really help me and other people be better people.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Book Leads, Impactful Books for Life and Leadership. I'm your series host and leadership performance coach, John Jaramillo. This podcast series is about getting to the books that have impacted the lives of the people in my network. So these are great leads. I'll be interviewing on those books. I want to know which book has contributed the most to who they are as the person they are, the work they do, what they do, the value they create. And my guest today is Bruce Mayhew. And Bruce is a corporate trainer, keynote speaker, and author who has spent more than 2 decades helping leaders and teams build empowering cultures that turn good intentions into everyday behaviors that build trust, engagement, and results. As president and founder of Toronto-based Bruce Mayhew Consulting, Bruce delivers practical, people-first, and research-informed programs and keynotes covering leadership and new leader development, difficult conversations, generational differences and generational dynamics, time management, and email etiquette. And Bruce joined me in September of 2025, just a few months ago, in episode 155 of this series, where we covered the book How to Work with Almost Anyone by Michael Bungay-Stanier. And at that time, Bruce and I talked about his book coming out in early 2026. In February, here we are. At that time, when we were having that conversation, I wanted to have him come back right around the time his book was out. So again, here we are. Bruce, thank you for coming back.
It's wonderful to be back, John. It's great.
So, Bruce, again, we had talked late last year in September. I do want people to take a listen to that episode. I think there's valuable insights that you provide from your life, your career, the books you've read, the book specifically we covered at that time. But just as a kind of introduction to anybody who might not have heard that episode, can you tell me a little bit about the work that you are today? Who are you today? What does that look like, the work that you're carrying out for your clients and customers?
Sure. I do mostly keynote speaking and corporate training. I do a little bit of coaching as well. But my whole world is in that soft skills, human skills arena. So it's all about communication and interpersonal communication, helping people be better people, right? Really have great connections with the folks that they work with, and even at home for that matter. But really having great relationships, honest, trustworthy relationships, and building those so as a foundation to inspire greatness, and to really be the best that they can be in the work that they choose to do.
So to understand how you got to that work today, can you give me a walkthrough? Again, brief, just because we spelled out every kind of highlight that you had in your career and life the last time we went around.
Boy, did we ever.
Yeah, we did. It was
really
great, though. It was great. Just so we don't go through all that again. And obviously, I appreciate that. What are some highlights from when you left high school to now, the major pivot points, the turning points, the realizations you made in your life and career that have led you to here?
Sure. I think as most young people, even most young people nowadays, when I left like the high school environment, I was really lost and floundering and kind of all over the place, not knowing where I wanted to be or go. So I went into school, I left school, I went back into school, sort of played around a bit. Finally got some footing and decided to take schooling seriously. Ended up going through college. I'm up here in Canada, and I was in Quebec. So going through college and CEGEP and then university, and came out of university knowing that I wanted to work for a big bank, and that's what. Thankfully, I was very happy that happened. Worked for a big bank up here and did some really amazing fun projects with them. Launched direct payment or debit for Scotiabank, which was really phenomenal because it was a product that nobody knew that they wanted or needed, and was on the retail side of launching it into the retail program. And it was really an exciting period of time. Did a lot of travel across Canada for that process. Then went from sales, where I really wanted to be was in the corporate marketing environment, and was responsible for a lot of launches of our corporate banking products, a lot of reintroduction as they moved from legacy systems into more Windows-based systems, redesigned branding. Just honestly, really, I can't tell you how fortunate I was and how much I loved what I did. But at the same time, as I climbed the ladder, I started realizing more and more that's not where I wanted to be. I didn't want to be in a leadership environment in one of those big industrial organizations any longer, because I started seeing them as being less about doing the things that were right, and really treating people well, and more about just hitting the bottom line.
Yeah.
And that's not where I was at from a leadership perspective. I honestly, even before I knew the stuff that I know today, really wanted to help the people that were part of my team be the best that they could be. And I started seeing that as you got higher on the corporate ladder, that at that time at least, it stopped being part of that, and it started being all about the numbers. And that wasn't a place that I wanted to be for the rest of, like, for 30 more years of my career. Okay, that's not going to make Bruce happy. So I had to go out and find out what was going to make Bruce happy. And that led me to opening up my own shop and really focusing on that people skills, human skills, helping people be better people.
What I enjoyed about our conversation the last go around was comparing notes on being introverts and
Right.
how that informs the way we are with people and the work that we do. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because that piece I definitely want to come through in this episode as well. How being an introvert informed, who we see before us today and who's going to be sharing this book with us.
Sure. And I always, when I was younger, I learned that because at first, like, when you're a teenager, you have no idea if you're an introvert or extrovert. You have there was just not language that was part of my vocabulary.
Yeah. Yep.
And I remember when I started learning that I was an introvert, really hating it, right? Like, because there was so many people I admired that were out there being extroverts, and I had to admire them. And not that I had to admire, I did admire them. But as I went through my career, I am actually thrilled that I'm an introvert, right? Now I'm an introvert that does extroverted things.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a big difference. Like, it's not, introversion is not cookie cutter across people.
No, absolutely. So I love what I do. I love being in front of big audiences. I love being in front of small audiences, but I love being out there helping people. And I think that's my click with the introvert, is that I'm so used to sort of sitting back and watching and seeing and really analyzing, instead of just jumping out there, which I still admire extroverts do, and I think it's awesome that they're doing that. But I'm an observer, and then I like to push the buttons that really help me and other people be better people. And I think my introversion does that for me.
A big part of these conversations that I have with my guests is built off of family. So another piece that I want to include in this episode is, can you speak a little bit about your parents and what they might have instilled in you that we see today?
Sure. Mom and dad, they've passed. Mom and dad, I would say, if I was to say one word that they shared that is Bruce, is values, right? Like, just that would be probably the paramount thing that I would say that mom and dad left with me. Honesty, integrity, your word is your bond. Those are other words that I would start filling in. But patience, from my mom's part, not patience from my dad's part. There's so much that I look back and I'm just a collage of what they put together, plus a few extra things added in that I'd have no idea where they came from. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Nature, nurture. You sometimes you
yeah,
can follow that through line back, but
yeah.
other times you can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I can see my dad in, like, as I reflect, dad was a serious introvert, like serious introvert. Mom was certainly more outgoing and more, go get 'em.
yeah, Bruce, for you, so does it make sense from your childhood that this is what you're doing? Although you've shared, you were in certain roles, and you're like, this isn't working out for me. I got to go be Bruce. I got to go do what I want to do. How would you connect your childhood to the work you're doing now? What is it that comes through from who you were as a kid?
Um, I, I would say, at first glance, there's no apparent reason why I am where I am doing what I do right now. I was a quiet, shy, uncertain kid, right? Um, I, if I could not be looked at, I was fine with that, right? Uh, I know I was indecisive. I came from a really small town. I grew up in a really small town, so I wasn't worldly. And not to say that I'm worldly now, but I certainly, I certainly was not, you know, Paris, bring me on kind of thing, right? It was, everything about me was small town, little Bruce, right?
Yeah.
And I would say I've thought about this a bunch of times. My dad got transferred when I was in my early teens from this small town to Montreal, so Montreal, Quebec, big at that point, big city. Um, Still is, but not compared to Toronto. But uh, I am so happy about that. Like, I remember it happening and me being very distraught by it, right? But as I reflect, it was my first glance at big and like all the opportunity that was out there, different people, different foods,
Yeah.
different places, different ideas. And I started realizing how hungry I was for this. And I would say hungry is a good word for that, because suddenly, as soon as I got a taste of it, I just wanted more. And
Yeah.
I was still in the backside, but I still wanted to observe, right?
Yeah.
But I started seeing that the world was a big place, and I started seeing that I didn't have to be scared of it. And I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, I think one of the major things that comes through in these conversations is certain people where they were in a small town, or not your situation, in a small town like you, or felt like nobody understood them because maybe their thinking was too big or they thought differently.
Yeah,
And all of us didn't realize that until we left the presumed safety of those environments. We stepped into something different. We were seen differently. We relocated to, where there's more input and you're just kind of taking it all in. You're insatiable because there's more to look at. So it's incredible how that is this common theme of so many people I've worked with on this podcast about, I felt a certain way and it didn't come out until I changed locations or changed group or took on new explorations, discovery, and really kind of went out there to see what was possible.
absolutely. Yeah, and there's a certain level of confidence, I think, that happens because you lived through it. Like, I survived,
Yeah.
right? And if I could survive that, then why can't I survive that other thing over there, right? So the
Yeah.
idea of approaching something new without knowing all the answers, I know I gained a, a lot as an introvert. I gained a lot of confidence, which I don't know that I would have gained otherwise, right? And so, I'm so grateful for that that change, right? Because it was hard. It was hard. Like, I like 2 years of absolute hell as a early teenager in a new school and a new environment. Like
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
but man, I know I could take on anything because of like my great,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Just
I know it.
because of how terrifying that point in your life is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you graduate college, you go into your career, you're still learning, but now you have kind of a focus, you know where you're looking. Even if it's not the thing for you, you're working on something. As a kid, people are just kind of telling you what you need to know,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
and you don't have that self-value
Yeah.
to stand confident at all for the most part. Like most kids are lost. Um, so yeah, if you can make it through that period, I mean, even though it was a different period of your life and you were younger, the terror that you kind of feel at that age, if you can overcome that, you're
Oh yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I still think about it. Right. It's, yeah, absolutely.
Bruce, I asked you this before. I forgot to go back and check what your response was then. Not that it has to match. I like this little experiment of checking in with people
Right.
again to see how their answers line up and how they've evolved.
Okay.
But off the top of your head now, what do you consider your superpower?
Uh, I would still say, I think my answer last time was empathy. And I would still say it was empathy and that ability, that introversion that allows
Mm,
me to connect to other people. Right.
yeah.
And I feel that every time I'm in front of an audience. Right. I, I, and it's really informed the work that I do because I really try to customize every speech, every presentation, every training environment. I really try to customize to their needs. I learned as much as I can about the company before I go in there so that I can be where they are. Right.
Yes. Ah, yeah. I
And
remember that. That stands out from our last conversation was meeting people where they are.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
you're
And
not
that's
coming in and saying, this is the prescription, come to me and believe everything that I'm sharing. It's kind of understanding where each person is and meeting them halfway.
right, right. Yeah. Cause if I can go halfway, if I can meet them where they are, they can start absorbing the information that I'm sharing as they need it. Cause
Yeah.
this, like person one might need component A, B, and C. Person two in the same room might only need part C. Right.
Yeah.
And they get to feel it where they're at based on where I'm, but if I'm just shoving a prescription down their throat, right.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
Bruce, before we jump into the book,
Yeah.
what is your definition of leadership?
Well, first I would say, I believe, especially nowadays, I would say everybody's a leader. Even if you don't have people reporting directly into you, you are somebody of value. You have somebody of purpose. You are a unique individual that contributes. And the second that you start contributing an idea, a perspective, as soon as people start trusting you, you are a leader, right? So I believe that teams definitely have somebody who's responsible for other people, and they are definitely a leader. But I believe that everybody on the team has to be an expert in their own field. Today's world is just too complicated for
Yeah.
anybody to be all knowing, all seeing, all knowing. So we have to so Bruce might be a leader for 10 minutes in this meeting because Bruce has to give his perspective. Bruce has to give his experience. And that's great. So I think we're all leaders in our own way. How we want to further that from a career perspective is different, right? Because I might be happy being a leader and a product knowledge expert for the rest of my career. And that's cool. Somebody else might want to take responsibility for a team. And that's cool, right? So we all get to define more and more, I believe, we get to define our own definition of the leader that we want to be today.
Such a great point. I've come across whether it was personal relationships, professional relationships, relationships, coaching relationships. There's so many people that have got to a point where, and I think COVID helped kind of trigger this mentality of Um, they've got to a certain level in their career, and maybe before COVID, they would have kept going up that corporate ladder, for instance, but they've chosen, just based on everything that's happened in the last, Jesus,
Mm,
6 years at this point, they've
yeah.
chosen that they have other priorities that are more important than going for that next level. So they're
Mm-hmm.
balancing out what they need. So that's an amazing point to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Like I share in the book that, and I don't mean to push into that book, but like
No, not at all.
I share in the book that, if you were to ask people why they want to be a leader, and I would say more in the past than today, but still happens today, they might say it's expected of me. My family expected of me. My
Yeah.
peers at university or my peers in my apprentice program expected of me. Um, isn't this what I'm supposed to do? I want to make more money. Like that's a reason that a lot of people
Oh,
go
yeah.
I want to
Absolutely.
make more money. Therefore, I'm going to become a leader. Right? So there's a whole slew of them that I share in the book, but those are like, that is expected of me. It's how I'm going to support my family. It's how I'm going to get more money. Those were, I believe, more traditional kind of reasons to become a leader. And they
Yeah.
all might still exist, but now I think there's other reasons to become a leader,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Of, hey, I want to help people. I want to do great things. I want to help other people do great things, right? And there's all kinds of other ones that sort of go along.
Yeah, I mean, just based on however they came up, the lessons that they were taught, the virtues, the values that they were taught, that kind of informs all those different reasons for becoming a leader or not, whatever they choose to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, speaking of the book, Bruce, do you want to jump into the book and introduce it?
Sure,
Yeah, why don't you
sure.
introduce the book and then what is it that led to the book? This is your first book, right?
This is my first book. Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Congrats.
and and I'm thank you. Yeah, and I'm terrified and thrilled all at the same time, right? And I can't believe I'm saying it, but like I'm like, okay, I have an idea for two other ones, right? But yeah, it's been a really interesting. So the book is The Path of an Inspired Leader, uh, and it's the way that I designed it was for it to be, or is for it to be, chapters, small chapters that reflect and inform a leader in how they might want to approach certain situations that they are likely to experience every day, every week, every month, kind of thing. So, so the book isn't designed to be read from chapter 1 to chapter 19. If you do, that's great. Like, it'll
Yeah.
work. But if you're a leader and you have somebody that comes to your office one day and says, I quit, and you need to hire someone and you've never hired anybody before, or you've hired someone and it went really badly, right? And you want to do it better, then read chapter 16. Because chapter 16 is all about how do you hire someone and make sure that you hire the best person, not the best resume. If you have to have a difficult conversation. So if I have to give a performance review and tell somebody that they didn't do well, or give somebody constructive feedback, or whatever that situation might be, if you want to do that well, then read chapter 13, right? If you want to learn how to build a values network for your team and with your team, then that's where you read chapter 6. Right. And I'm just pulling the numbers off out of my head right now.
Yeah. I'm not going to hold you to it.
Yeah. But you'd think that I would know every chapter off by heart. It's like
Looking at
having
it
a favorite.
over and over.
Yeah. It's like having a favorite baby, I think, or a favorite child. I'm not sure which one is which, right? But that's how it's designed. It's designed to give people sort of the 911 information that they need to feel confident to move to the next step, like in 10 minutes, and then move forward with that. So it's almost like me when I was like 12 years old moving to a new city. I want to give Bruce the thing that he needs to know to survive in Montreal. And
Yeah.
that's what I wanted. That's how the book's been designed. So I figure I'm there to get people about 80% of the way, to help them know that they can take 1 or 2 or 3 steps, feel confident that those steps are going to be built on best practices and research and experience, and for them to actually own and pay attention to their gut, right? Believe in yourself and you'll be amazing.
So many people that are in the coaching field, at one time or another, it crosses their mind, or they're asked, or they're told, when's your book coming out? You need to write a book. So for you, I'm sure you heard that all the time. For you, what was the trigger that actually pushed you to really get down, sit down, and put this together?
That's a great question. And you're absolutely right. There's a good friend of mine and fellow author. He authored his book in through COVID, or during COVID, and he's been telling me probably for 12 years, Bruce, write a book, right? You've got a book in you, write a book. And I figured, like, I always kind of wanted to, but again, it was so not part of my family upbringing that, like, like,
Bruce is the center of attention, as the sage, as like,
yeah. Bruce is a unicorn, I can tell you. But it's like, it's just not part of the DNA, right? And honestly, I didn't feel like I was ready. I didn't feel I knew the book that I wanted to write. I knew that, and this is exactly the book that I wanted to write. But I didn't feel 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 8 years ago that I had all the things in my kit bag to put the book together properly.
Yeah.
And so I just kept researching. I kept experiencing. I kept researching. And I did a lot of research over the last 15 years to bring me to where I wanted to be within my career. And then that led me to the book. And then in 2024, I was helping out a friend of mine who is he owns the Art of brand, so the Art of Leadership, right?
Okay.
And I've helped Christopher out at those events for many, many years. And there was a lady, Denise Hamilton, and I might have shared this with you on the previous.
Yep.
Denise Hamilton was up on stage, and I watched her, and she just knocked me out, right? She was so amazing. And so I ended up being, Christopher, of course, invites me to the VIP reception after the event. And I walked into the VIP reception, and there's Denise standing in front of me all by herself. And like, I was so thrilled. And I just went up to her and I said, you blew me away. You just are so inspiring and so brilliant. And we talked for about 20, 30 seconds, and she turned and said, so what's your book about? And I just sat there and I was like, or stood there and said, I don't have a book. And she's like, so when's it coming out? When are you writing it? And then another lady joined the conversation, and she had just finished publishing her book. And then another gentleman joined the conversation, and he had just finished publishing his book. And I felt like a cosmic alignment where people were just like okay, all right.
Yeah.
And I reached out to a publisher, and we talked for a couple months, and I put together a sample document, and they said yes. And then next thing you know, here I am talking about a book.
So Bruce, what did you want to put in this book? Like, I know the title, I know the subtitle, you gave me some of the chapters, but what in general, if you had to put it in, I want to be fair to you, but 2 to 3 sentences, what is it that you wanted to put in a book? What is it that you wanted to capture?
Confidence. How's that? That leading with integrity honesty and transparency are probably the most important qualities of a leader. It's not skill, like you have to be a brain surgeon. It's not a you do A, then B, then C. Leadership is about honesty and integrity and transparency and trust. And I hope this book does that for people.
So to that end, as you were putting the book together, how is it you decide how to organize it? What's the path that you take the leader on? You don't have to go chapter by chapter, but I'm always curious how an author sets up their chapters. What's that voyage, that journey, that path that you lay out so that it makes the most sense to the person? And I know you said you don't have to read it in order,
No.
but how did you order it? How did you decide to put it together the way you did?
That's a great question, John. So the way I approached it was it's front end loaded with basically build trust, build integrity, have confidence in yourself. Like every chapter ends with, you got this. So those are the last words on every single chapter, right? Because I really wanted to make sure I was empowering people and giving them the confidence to move forward. So the front end is really about, you have it, you have the ability, believe in yourself. And then I moved into what I believe are sort of some of the foundational components of team development, which are understand what your values are, understand what you want your team culture to look like, right? So that whole idea of a strategic goal, of your vision, of your mission and your values. And I truly believe that many companies sort of glance over those things. They just gloss over them. They have them, they sit on a website, maybe on a poster in the boardroom, but they don't actually use those things. So I really anchor the book in values, right? And discuss how the importance of values and vision and mission, but then how to use those things, how to build them with your team, not because values can't be a top down, I decree, they really have to be built from the ground up. So it's a partnership with your people nowadays. And so it moves into that. Then it moves into some of the more common elements that you would experience as a leader, the things that you're going to run into on a regular basis, like difficult conversations, right? So the more familiar things are sort of in the middle of the book. And then as I move to the end of the book, I go into things that aren't every day for a leader, but important. So hiring skills is nearer the back. And you'd almost think, okay, hiring skills should be at the front. But no, for me, we're not hiring people every day, but we're having difficult conversations every day. We're using our values every day. So the front end, so that's how the book flows. So hiring skills is near the back. Onboarding is its own chapter. And I can't stress how important onboarding is.
Oh my God.
But
Yes,
onboarding
please.
is its own chapter, and it mirrors the hiring skills chapter, right? So that's how the book is laid out. So yeah.
So for you, I always ask this question. I think this is one of my favorite questions. I'm always curious in writing it, what lessons have you taken away from the book? So whoever's writing the book, 9 times out of 10 is the go-to person, is the expert, is the specialist. But even they, in writing it, some of their ideas may be refined based on where they are in their own career at the time they get to whatever chapter. And aside from the stress of the publishing and the editing, that aside,
Yeah.
I know that's always there. That aside, what do you take away from writing the book? Meaning, do you look at things differently? Did it enhance your thinking? What changed in you because of the book? writing the book, getting the book out there?
Uh, Another fantastic question. I would say the connection between all of the components really sat with me or sits with me differently. I really see more than ever, the thread of leadership through all of these elements, right? So, I'm probably more passionate about things like values and culture and what I call microcultures. So like microcultures might be the relationship I have with one of my teammates, right? Because I might get along really well with them, not as well with one of my other teammates. So I have a microculture here, I have a
Yeah.
microculture there, and together as a team, we have a microculture within the bigger department, right? So I would say, if anything, I see and feel the connection between all of these elements, especially around trust, transparency, and values, probably more than ever. And then, of course, I've learned way more than I ever thought I would learn about how to write a book and and publishing and book cover design and all the rest of it that I never thought I
Yeah.
would have. Yeah.
Bruce, when it comes to you, you've mentioned, now that you have this book out there are a couple ideas that you have. What kind of directions do you feel you would want to go to when you get to those other books in general?
You mean how would I write another book?
No, I mean, what are the topics? What are the areas that you would want to focus on? If you
Sure,
do
sure,
have those already. You don't have
sure.
to give
So
away the store, just a general idea.
yeah, so one of them is really focusing on leadership again, uh, but from a different perspective, because I truly believe that we all absorb information sometimes from a different point of view. So a message that works really well for you, John, might not work really well for the person beside you.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that a whole bunch of people love this book and it talks to them, it speaks to them. But I also truly believe that this isn't the only voice, right? And what I'd like to do for myself, selfishly, as well as for other people, is to take a look at leadership from a different perspective. And that is from more of a, more of a, what I would say, a straight line perspective. I will be the first one to admit that this book is all touchy feely, like to use a phrase that I hate, frankly, right? But this book, and it really is my baby. This book really is about knowing yourself and self-awareness and all of the feels that goes on with leadership. I think I have the ability to also take a look at many of the places in this book and look at from more of an analytical perspective. So if I was to draw a straight line, if I needed to set up certain criteria, what would those criteria be? And I believe I can bring the compassion and empathy that lives in this book to a more structured environment as well, so that they wouldn't be one or the other, or like they wouldn't be connected, but they would still do the same thing, but in a different way, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, there's an end success, but there's different means, different ways of getting there, different understandings. No
Yeah,
two leaders are going to do it the same way, and meanwhile, they can get to the same level of the finish line, the goal, the end. So, no, it makes sense.
yeah,
Plus, I think it's good for people to understand. I think it's great for you to put it out because you have an understanding of this one and you have an understanding of that one. That as a person, as an author, as a leader, as a coach, you don't just have to subscribe to one side of it,
I agree.
because that's what gets us in trouble. Obviously,
Yeah,
politically these days, but that's what gets us in trouble, is just believing that the way that we do it or the way we're familiar with, that's the way it's done. But I love that you can do both the soft and the technical side of it to demonstrate that you have that understanding. You're more familiar with one, not more familiar, but you gravitate more towards
Mhm.
one side, but you understand that the other side exists as well. There's that paradox, but there's no reason why they can't coexist.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm hoping I can do it. I think I can.
Pressure's on now.
Pr-
Pressure's on.
I'll talk to
Um,
my publisher about it.
yeah. Bruce, what book has inspired you or made an impact on you? I know um we spoke about Michael Bunge's
Mm.
Stainier's book in the last episode. Are there any others? There must be others that stand out that you could list that have really made an impact on you, that really stay with you, that resonate with you, your world, your personal
Mm.
life. It just stands out amongst so many others.
Sure. Sure. I would say, um, going back, one of the first books that that really resonated with me, and I think people would laugh at this, is uh, uh, habits of highly successful, 7 habits of highly successful people. And I think I just completely screwed up that name. 7 habits of highly successful people. It's a time management book. It's been out forever. It's probably like about 3 years older or younger than the Bible kind of thing. But like it's been there forever. But
Yeah.
I still believe that it holds the foundation for time management
Yeah.
that even is applicable today, right? So I totally believe that that's a great, great book, that people can read, and you know, everybody should have to read that one.
Yeah,
Thinking
that's
Fast,
the Stephen Covey
Stephen
book, right?
Covey. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Um, Thinking Fast and Slow
Yeah.
is an interesting book. It's a little bit more of a technical, harder
Oh
read.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh, uh, um, um, I
I think
want to
that's
think.
Daniel Kahneman.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's reality as a reality-based leadership. I wish if I was in my home, I would have the book right behind me. Is an amazing book, and it's Cy Wakeman, I think, that writes it, if I have her name right. She also does a book called No Ego that is really important, that I would say so there's 2 books that she's put out that I really enjoy. And then I actually really, um, I have a love-hate relationship with Simon Sinek's book, Why. Um, uh, because I totally believe in the premise. I totally believe in what he says about people needing to know why they're doing things. I just uh, I just wasn't thrilled about the book, and I'm sorry, Simon, if you ever happen to watch this. I
Okay, well,
loved,
but that's okay. That's
yeah,
constructive
you know,
feedback.
I loved the first 100 pages, and then after that, I'm like, why did you not just end? So,
What is it
uh,
though? What is it that shifted or kind of fell off?
I just felt that he was repeating himself too much.
Okay.
Uh, and that again, that's my personal, like, he shares a bunch
Of
of
course.
stories. He shares a bunch of stories, and that I just felt like I was reading the same story over and over and over again. So and maybe that's just my personal preference, but um, I yeah I honestly I thought what he said in the first 100 pages was brilliant. I was like, okay, I should have closed the book.
Yeah. So, Bruce, for you, in people listening to this series, to this episode, picking up your book, or thinking about your book, how would you put it to them? What is it? How would you summarize it to them, especially in this world, the way things are going, without going into it? I mean, everybody can turn on the TV and see what's happening. In this world, everything that's going on, I think a book like this is really important.
Hmm.
really getting to your values, really to getting and understanding what you're about.
Yeah.
How would you sell your book to somebody? What would you say the biggest, not the biggest takeaway, but that they could take away from the book that would make it um important, that would make it just stand out in today's times? What is that selling point? What would you share with them?
Yeah. So I guess 2 points on it is, one, I do believe that it covers uh, m- many if of the important things that a leader has to do in a month kind of component.
Yeah.
Um, I I wrestled with this a little bit while I was writing it because I am very aware that I can Google or AI a question about how do I hire someone, and AI will spit out something for me.
Yeah.
Um, so there's some new tips. There's some Bruce theories in here, I'll, but I realize that this people could Google this book and AI will feed components of it. But what this book does is that it provides a consistent voice, a consistent approach. So I'm not listening to Simon Sinek here and Covey over here. And like, I'm not listening to 12 different voices or 15 or 19 different voices. I'm in this book. If you think that you resonate with some of the stuff that the approach that I take, you're going to get Bruce all the way through this.
Yeah.
So there'll be a consistency in your language, in your approach, in how you take my work and make it your work, right? How I want people to mess with what I say and make it their own, right? And the neat thing I think that this book can do is it allows people to understand how they want to mess with Bruce's approach and how they can make my theories, my approach their own so that they can be authentic and not have to retranslate language
Yeah.
all the way through.
I mean, again, that speaks back to what you said about meeting people where they are. They can start with your tools, but they can customize it to where
You
they
have
are,
to.
who they are. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The people that I've worked with that have really succeeded have, uh, like honestly taken what I've shared with them, my thoughts, my ideas, and threw out 30 for 30 or 40% of it, but added 30 or 40% of their own stuff to it. And it
Yeah.
feels like theirs. Like, no, nobody can be me. I can't be you. But if I can understand you and make part of, if there's something that you're saying, I'm like, wow, I love that. If I can bring that into my rhythm, people are going to trust that. If I try to be you,
Yeah.
it ain't going to work.
Yeah. I mean, even what you just said about, they may take what I share with them and throw out 30 or 40% and then make that 30, 40% more their own. There's a good chance the 30 or 40% of yours that they threw out triggered their thinking to get to where they needed to be. And that's all you can hope for, is that the work that
Yep.
you're doing, I'm assuming for you, would trigger that kind of thinking in them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Bruce, in wrapping up, is there anything that I might have missed that you want to cover or share, or anything you have coming up now that the book is out? Anything at all? The floor is yours.
No, it's just, for me, I would say there's nothing else for me. I think this has been fantastic. Again, I so enjoy talking to you, John. If I was to leave anybody else with a message, I'm like, you can do it, right? Go and live your passion. Uh, However you need to do it. Like if you're an extrovert, jump off and
Yeah.
just start running down the highway. If you're an introvert, do more research and then run down the highway. If you're an extrovert, run down the highway and then stop every
Yeah.
once in a
Yeah.
while and look around.
Yeah.
But if I can do this, as good or as bad as this is, if I can do this, if I can do what I do, anybody can be whatever they want to be. So go do it. If you have a dream of, just go do it.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah. It sounds like such simple advice, and it is.
No.
but I think we underestimate how much we're capable of. And
Mm-hmm.
what sucks about that, honestly, is that we all realize that once we've put in so much of our own work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like advice you give to kids, sage advice. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
click, but like 20 or 30 years later. But
Yeah.
we can remind people, just get started. Just get started. Surround yourself with great community that'll support that you want to get started and get
Mm-hmm.
going.
Yeah. If it's scaring you, rock on. Like, keep going. Like, fear is amazing. Now, John, there was a book that you recommended to me around right before Christmas, Big Magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would tell people to read that book because it's all about that creative process and taking off. And
Yeah.
that book has so resonated with me. I love it.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. When
Yeah.
I read it, no matter, she's a writer, so she writes
Yep.
from that vein, but anything that's creative, anything. I mean, I consider these podcasts, these conversations creative. Anything that you're into that's creative, read that book. Highly recommend it. Just as Bruce
Absolutely.
said, because I think we think that so much may come easy to authors, to painters, to this, to that, and she gives some great insight about what kind of battle it is. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just have to suck it up and just get going, like you just said before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm glad it resonated with you, my friend. And again, Bruce's own book that's out now is The Path of an Inspired Leader, Inspire Greatness, Lead with Integrity, and Build a Loyal Team Culture. Bruce, thank you so much for coming back for another conversation.
Thank you. I loved it. It was amazing.
And if there's anything I might have missed, there's so much to cover, limited time, let me know. I'll reach out to Bruce and see what kind of guidance, wisdom, recommendations, anything of any kind of nature I can get back from him. In the meantime, thank you for watching, listening, and subscribing, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.